2 years ago, we had a conversation about where things were heading to, or so what do you think पिछले 2 साल में how things have turned out to be, and from geopolitics angle also, what are the forces and actors who are shaping the future now?
So I think, I don't remember what I said 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it was more generic.
It was more generic.
Yeah.
But I would imagine कि कुछ बोला भी होगा, it would have been wrong. Things have been so accelerated and so dramatic that I think there are very few people who understood कि क्या होने वाला है. उसमें एक तो ये है कि they got a very unique individual as the president of the USA.
Yeah.
And that, of course, has slowly started breaking down what was accepted rules of behavior, accepted strategies. उसमें ये था कि people would understand कि इस framework में या X करेगा या Y करेगा, ये जो है ये Z कर लेता है. And not always to the benefit of the US. So I think in the past 2 years, what we've seen is something that has actually been moving forward in the past 20 years. We see things happening slowly, and then there's suddenly a threshold at which a watershed moment happens, and we realize things have been changing. So one of the big things that has been happening around the world is that where we are today is largely a result of the success of the previous world order. You see, China was allowed to grow. China started becoming the world's factory.
Yeah.
And China didn't do what countries like Vietnam or other developing countries did, which was they didn't just stick at the lowest end of the value chain, that we're just going to make cheap clothes, cheap jeans, or we're going to make cheap plastics. They went through the whole chain, right? They started making cars, semiconductors, solar, everything. Then they were also supremely lucky. It's very rare that a centralized command economy, it's a capitalist economy, but a lot of it is decided by the centralized command of the Chinese Communist Party and the president, and they made good choices.
Yeah.
They made strategic choices. So now what has happened is that over time, you effectively have the United States and a next kid on the block who's also a superpower, which is China. And then in one way, because of historical things like what the Soviet Union was, the weaponry they had, and then the energy boom that Russia has been able to take advantage of, it also became significantly powerful in terms of like the gas supplies it was doing to Europe and all that. So what happens is that when you have one power, they have access to everything. They have first right of refusal. But suddenly you have an emerging power. The same resources that were once uncontested are now contested. That's where pressure starts building in the system. And the unilateral position of America in the world has been eroding away for 20 years, and we've been seeing what's happening. So you've got China, you've got a number of other things that are happening. दूसरा ये है कि technology diffusion. It used to be that only America could make an F-16. Now China can make something better. India has a lot of technological prowess. Russia has a lot of technological prowess. So the diffusion that we've seen in technology has also taken away some of that advantage that was given to one player. And then the other thing is that one player, which was the United States, saw the benefit. If we keep a rules-based order, whether good or bad, it wasn't always based on rules. They did whatever they wanted. But if we kept it, stability around the world is good for us. Mm. And under Trump, of course, they've sort of retracted from that role. They haven't really retracted, but they've given a lot of signals that create uncertainty in the minds of their old allies, like Europe, like places in the Middle East. And because of that, we're now seeing that the world order is changing.
Right.
And so there's a lot of uncertainty in people's minds. And in some ways also, the old order really benefited the Americans. But just because of the way that America's own democracy is fraying at the ends, and you've got a president that's really leading by his own whims, he's actually reversed some of the things that used to benefit them. So I think that where we're at is at a transition phase where the future is going to be multipolar. We are going to have blocks. We're going to have much more in the form of regionalization, regional allies. And what the past 2 years have demonstrated is that Europe had a transatlantic partnership with the Americans. And they're like, we can't depend on that anymore. We're going to have to, we are a region, we are a bloc, but we're going to have to think about our own defense. We're going to have to think about self-sufficiency, that we don't require an umbrella of protection from someone else. So that's in terms of like both their arms build up, but that's also in terms of like not just depending upon commercial technologies that come from the US. So they need their own AI, sovereign AI. They need their own technologies. They need their own production in-house. And because of this uncertainty, what has shifted around the world is that we've got an old form of mercantilism where we're trying to get more and more production in-house.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the economic orthodoxy was that X will make this product because he's specialized in this, we'll make this. Everyone will benefit. Now we're saying, no, let's try to make as much as we can in-house. Number two is, how do we ensure that we get resources for the future? So we thought that, it's not just fuel, it's critical earth minerals, it's, access, it's also logistics, it's access to routes. So things are significantly changing. And I think that in the past 2 years, most countries have this idea that we're going to have to figure out more in terms of being sovereign and independent and not be dependent upon, let's say, the old big brother of the world. And they also have a suspicion of any new big brothers. So they're not also going to immediately get into the arms of another suitor like China or Russia, because it's become clearer to most countries that, these vulnerabilities have to be addressed. And because of that, there is much more contestation in terms of resources, in terms of how people project their own power. After a long time, wars have become easier. That sense that, we have to avoid this. Part of this started, post the Arab Spring, post what was happening in Syria. There has been a lot of war going on consistently at the behest of the US since September 11, both in Afghanistan, but also in parts of the Middle East, parts where they've destabilized and effectively neutered countries like Iraq and others. So for a lot of countries, like the calculus of what we need to do has significantly changed, because that idea that we still believe international cooperation is the ideal, but we have to prepare absolutely for a breakdown in that particular situation. So I think these 2 years have been very interesting. One is especially I think the morality that I think the West was very successful in presenting around the world as an alternate system was critically hurt by what they did in Gaza. And for a lot of people, they've also realized that, this level of barbaric genocide can very easily be justified in their eyes and all that. Second is what's happening with Iran right now. What's happening in terms of how the US is dealing, forget with its enemies, but with its friends.
Yeah.
What it's done in South America and what it's currently doing to Cuba. So for a lot of people, this is a sense that there is a redrawing of allegiances, alliances. There is a significant change in how technology is playing a part in people's lives. That technology has created new demands for energy, for critical earth materials. Then going forward, we don't know who's going to be ascendant on this, what effect it will have on economies, on jobs. So there's uncertainty. This is that one particular period where we're not redrawing the world map, but we're redrawing how the world map integrates and interacts with one another. So I believe like it's pretty open how this will go forward.